What is good, Mexic planners? In honor of Black History Month, I am back with another update on the growth of the Black expat community in Merida, Mexico. If you missed the two previous installments of this series, I'll link to them above and in the description notes below. Reviewing the last 2 years will show you how fast things have changed in a short amount of time. This year, I will share the current numbers from the most recent people poll I conducted. I will tell you about events and social groups formed in Merida, and I will give you some insight into a surprising trend that I didn't see coming 3 years ago. So let's get it. Last year, I did a survey in the Brothers and Sisters of Merida Facebook group, and we had over 100 people respond. At that time, the group was just over 2,000 members, but not all of them were living in Mexico. Many joined the group with the intentions of moving to Mexico in the upcoming year. The trend from 2020 to 2021 was that there were more and more people arriving in Merida every single day, and you could absolutely see it on the streets. Well, fast forward to 2022, and that cycle continued, but at a much faster pace. The Brothers and Sisters of Merida Facebook group has grown to almost 4,000 members and is the second largest expat group with the name Brothers and Sisters behind South Korea, which from my understanding, South Korea was the first to use the name Brothers and Sisters of South Korea. There are many other African-American focused expat groups in Mexico, but the Brothers and Sisters of Merida is definitely one of the larger groups. The point of all of this is to say that in 1 year, the interest of people moving to Mexico, and in particular Merida, has increased to almost 2 times based on the membership of the group. And what is really interesting is the diversity in age, which I mentioned also last year. The group has 86.3% of its members based in the US, 8.9% of those members are in Mexico, 1% in Canada, and 1% in the rest of the world. When I meet new people, it seems that every other person is moving from Atlanta or LA. The group actually reflects that statistic, with the top 4 cities being Houston, Atlanta, New York, followed by LA. Another surprising statistic is that there are almost 5 times more women than men in the group. My brothers, where y'all at? Although there has been a significant increase in the brothers here in Merida in the last year, we selfishly need more good men. I sound like an old Marine recruiter right now. Last year, I made 2 bold statements. One, I guesstimated that there were more than 150 different households living in Merida. And 2, I stated that this might be the largest community of Black expats living and not just passing through in Mexico. Now, all of this was speculative based on my observations in the streets and the people that I knew. Well, this year I created a new poll and I asked 2 questions. How long have you lived in Merida, and how many folks are in your household? This year we received 152 poll responses. We've had 29 out of the 152 responses say that they've lived in Merida less than 90 days. 25 respondents said that they've lived in Merida less than 6 months. So a total of 54 people, or about 35% of the folks that responded, have lived in Merida for less than 6 months. We had 22 people respond that they've lived in Merida for less than 12 years. Almost half of the people that responded to the group, 74, have been here less than 1 year. We had 55 of the respondents say that they've been here for more than 1 year. 13 people responded that they've been here for more than 2 years. 5 people responded that they've been here for more than 3 years, and 3 people have been here for more than 4 years. So as you can see, in the last year, we've gotten a bunch of new families here in town. Most of the folks that responded to the poll just arrived in the last year or so, in 2022. 80 folks out of the 152 that responded to the poll provided information about their family size. And the most interesting thing to note is that there are 2.6 times more households with 2 or more people than single family households. More families are coming to Merida, and that's definitely reflected in the numbers. There were 22 single person households out of the 80 that responded, and the rest were all multifamily households, all the way from 2 family households up to, there's even a family here of 8. In total, 198 people were represented in the 80 households that share their household sizes. There are now a ton of kids in Merida, and we see it when we have events. Speaking of events, last year we had our first Brothers and Sisters of Merida family reunion where 100 people attended. I counted more than 15 brothers at this event, which I believe might be the largest group of Black men I've seen in one place in Merida at one time. There was also a Kwanzaa event held at the end of the year, which was my first Kwanzaa I ever attended, which happened to be in Mexico. It really spoke to the community here in Merida. There are now game nights that have been organized for the 25 to 40 crowd by one of the group members. There's a 50+ social group that meets often. There's also a weekly skate and walk meetup that happens every Saturday at Parque Alamán. The teen demographic is the group that struggled the most socially given the language and cultural barriers. And now we have a teen club with organized reoccurring events. I reached out to one of the founding moms of the teen group, Janita Lowell, for a comment about the group, and she told me that the group has over 60 families with 70+ teens registered. Wow. As you can see, there's something for everyone at every age group here in the Merida Black expat community. Merida is definitely attracting younger families, which is a big shift from the historical retirees who usually move to Central or the beach. Could this be the start of a larger migration story like the Great Northern Migration of the 1910s and 70s? The numbers represented today are just a small sample from one Facebook group. As I stated in the beginning, there are other larger Facebook groups in Mexico. However, I do believe that Merida has the largest community of Black expats, and I know that there are more and more families choosing this great city to raise their kids. Let me know what you think about the migration and the trend of families moving here in the comments below. Until next Black History Month, MexitPlans Monty, Amu!